It's now my pleasure to introduce our keynote commencement speaker, Robyn Metcalf Blank. Robyn Metcalf Blank serves as a principal lobbyist with the Griffin Group, a Florida-based lobbying firm providing a tailored, client-focused approach to government relations, business development, nonprofit management, and public affairs. She leads the nonprofit and education practice at the firm. Robyn has over a decade of experience advocating and developing solutions to improve outcomes for Florida's most vulnerable children. She previously served as Director of Special Projects with the Florida Alliance to End Human Trafficking and as the statewide director for the Open Doors Outreach Network, providing 24/7 care and support to survivors of sex trafficking in Florida. Robyn also served as Associate Executive Director for the American Children's Campaign, advocating for policy change on behalf of children in Florida. She currently serves on the board of directors and the executive committee for the FSU Alumni Association and the South City Foundation here in Tallahassee. She previously served on the statewide Healthy Start Mom Care Network board and has held various volunteer roles with organizations, including the Leon County Children's Services Council, the Junior League of Tallahassee, and Guardian Ad Litem. Robyn received her Bachelor of Social Work and her Master of Social Work with a concentration in social leadership and a Master of Public Administration, all from Florida State University. She was named a 2020 Notable Knoll from the FSU Alumni Association, and in 2016 received a Distinguished Young Alumni Award from the FSU College of Social Work. In 2025, Robyn was named a 25 Women You Need to Know in Tallahassee. She's an amazing friend to the College of Social Work and has been a wonderful supporter both of me and all of our colleagues. It's my distinct pleasure to welcome Robyn Blank.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. And before I start, I want to be very transparent. I am 5 months pregnant. It is very hot in here, and this is very heavy, which I didn't expect. So I apologize if I run out of breath through this, so please bear with me. Good afternoon, and thank you to Dean Springer and the College of Social Work for inviting me today. I am honored that I was selected to speak to this semester's graduates and to be a part of the celebrations of your accomplishments. When I was asked to provide the commencement speech, I eagerly accepted the opportunity. And then within about 15 minutes or so, the panic started to set in. You see, I've never been a big fan of public speaking. I do have the opportunity to speak to students each semester, but I approach this in a way that my social work education so perfectly prepared me. I ask everyone to pull their chairs in a circle and to treat it more like a groups class that I remember so dearly from Frank Amori over a decade ago. I encourage students to treat the class like a dialogue rather than a lecture. I recommend that the students ask questions, and I don't have to stick to a specific script. After all, this is what social work practice is really like in the field. That is when I quickly realized that that approach would not work for today. I did put a lot of thought into where I stood as a graduating MSW student a little over 10 years ago, where I am now, and what factors played into me getting here. My goal today is to speak to you all as someone who was in your shoes not so long ago. I like to still refer to myself as a young alumni, although I'm realizing those days are fading away. In reality, I started my college career as a confused and shy freshman at FSU, unsure of what my future held. I didn't know what my future was going to be, let alone the next few years. But more than anything, I was excited to start at my dream school, the Florida State University. Haphazardly, I found my way into the social work advisor's office at the age of 18. To be honest, my dream was to be an elementary school teacher, but the advisor warned me that I likely would not be accepted into the program due to its competitive nature. I quickly pivoted to Plan B. Maybe my dream was to be an elementary school guidance counselor instead. And that's how I ended up in the College of Social Work. I remember calling my parents to tell them I was going to switch my major to social work and their first question was, how are you going to make a living wage as a social worker? Very relatable. And the truth is, I didn't know how to answer that. I think this was my first realization that there were a lot of preconceptions and stereotypes around the profession as a whole, but more on that later. Throughout my BSW program, I fell in love with the social work profession. Specific populations like those in the child welfare system, the intersectionality with the justice system, vulnerable populations such as victims of human trafficking, and the way in which so many systems in society impact a child and their family. I volunteered at places like 211 Big Bend. I learned applied skills like crisis intervention and counseling. I loved every second of my field placement teaching at the Second Chance School. But along the way, I realized that while I was passionate about the profession and the individuals we serve, I was not destined to be a clinical social worker. I loved helping individuals, advocating, and transforming systems. But, and I think my colleagues along the way can agree, my strengths did not lie in working one-on-one with clients. I realized once again I needed to pivot and come up with what would now be my plan C, and eventually plan D, E, F, and G, and so on. And next it was time to apply for graduate school. The majority of my classmates were applying for the accelerated MSW program and excited to continue their track to become a clinical social worker. After many long conversations with professors, family, and mentors, I made the decision to begin the MSW and Masters of Public Administration joint degree program here at FSU. For me, it seemed like the perfect solution to combine my love for the social work profession, nonprofit management, macro social work, and public policy all into one. Not to mention, the joint degree program would buy me an extra year to figure out what my future would hold. The bottom line was that I could still make a difference in the field of social work, but it would look differently than I originally thought. Throughout grad school, I continued to work in the nonprofit and policy space, attempting to gain as much applied experience as possible to determine what I wanted to do once I received my degrees. I continued this work after graduation, dedicating my time and energy to running a statewide nonprofit serving child and young adult victims of sex trafficking. Something that I think about often is the importance of the relationships that you build along the way with your work. You never know when they'll come full circle, and individuals can come back to your life in a big way. After 10 years of working in the nonprofit sector, I experienced what many social workers feel: burnout. I knew I wanted to make a change, but I wasn't exactly sure what that change would be. During my time running the statewide program for victims of trafficking, I worked closely with our contract lobbyist to fight for year-to-year funding from the Florida legislature to support our services. What I didn't know at the time was that the professional relationship I had formed with my lobbyist would be the most important for me to date in my work. Due to the burnout, I once again had to pivot to a new plan, and I realized that that's a common theme in the story I'm sharing with you today. While it was not something that I sought after or expected, I was asked to join my past lobbyist at his newly formed lobbying firm here in Tallahassee. I'd be a contract lobbyist working in the private sector, advocating on behalf of clients across many different sectors, and leading the firm's nonprofit arm of business. While the switch to running a nonprofit to working in the private sector was major, it ended up being a more seamless transition than I could have ever imagined. Receiving your formal education in social work equips you with skills unlike any other profession. We are uniquely trained to work with individuals from so many different walks of life. We are taught how to effectively communicate and listen to understand so many perspectives that may or may not align with our personal values. Because of our applied experience, both in the classroom and in the field, we are equipped with skills and experiences that so many others are not. When I first started meeting with senators and representatives, the governor's office, and leadership at state agencies, I felt very insecure in my background and my experience. I was new to lobbying and politics while being surrounded by so many others that looked the part and had been in this space their entire career. I quickly realized, though, that a BSW and MSW is something that most people in the legislature and politics do not have. I was amazed how much weight these degrees hold and the level of respect that they command in a room. Since starting this new career, I've realized that being a social worker is actually my secret weapon in my current career. Social workers bring unique perspectives and expertise to the table that is pivotal in the legislative decision-making process. If you think about it, we're currently sitting less than a mile from the Florida Capitol building. Each year, the legislature comes together during legislative session, and they make decisions that directly impact our practice and profession as social workers. The policy that they pass each year directly impacts the services that our clients receive and the way in which we can provide those services. Just as important, they negotiate and pass an annual budget that defines funding allocations that support our clients. Things like funding to the school systems, child welfare system, justice system, nonprofit organizations, you name it, if it is funded by the state through public dollars, it is a part of this budget. Because of our lived and applied experiences, we are perfectly positioned to have a voice in this decision-making process each year. The legislature not only needs our voice and perspective, but they respect it. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I hope you will leave with today is don't let people box you in to specific roles or employment opportunities because you are a social worker. The opportunities are endless. In reality, every sector, every field, and every profession needs trained social workers at the table. Due to the generalist nature of our coursework, we are prepared to make a difference in so many settings and step outside the bounds or expectations of others. Never close yourself off to opportunities because it doesn't fit the mold of what a social worker will traditionally do. I am currently a living testament to this as a lobbyist in Florida. What I have realized is that my career path was not perfectly set in stone or mapped out as a plan. Rather, I worked hard and a lot. I took advantage of opportunities, networked, and connected as much as possible. I volunteered when I could to gain experience in new areas of the work, and I consistently showed up and established a personal brand, reputation, and worked hard to exceed the expectations that others have of me. So often we're expected to know what our next step is going to be, in both life and in our career. It is okay if you don't know exactly what you want to be when you grow up. Heck, I still don't know sometimes. I have always felt that my least favorite question or icebreaker is the common, where do you see yourself in your career in 5 years, or 10 years, or 30 years? It was a question that I could never answer. I would make something up to satisfy the professor or interviewer, but I never truly knew this answer. And this is something that scared me. My guess is that there are many of you in this room that may feel the same way. And I'm here to tell you that it's okay to feel this way. Now is your chance to focus on building your opportunities that will pay off for your future. I would encourage you to enter your career with an open mind and take advantage of every experience you can. Always remember, people who you encounter today may not show up again in your life for several years or even a decade. But if you present yourself in a meaningful way and are helpful, they will remember you. Paving your way forward can be scary and risky, but it's also exciting to start with a blank piece of paper where you can map out what your future will hold. I would also encourage you to stay connected with both the College of Social Work and the Florida State University. You are now a part of over 420,000 living alumni from this university. There are so many opportunities to lean on your fellow alumni, stay engaged with the work of the college, and get involved with the university. Whether you're staying in Tallahassee or moving to a new city, I would encourage you to connect with your local Seminole Club or alumni network, which you can find through the FSU Alumni Association. Stay engaged with your FSU family and connect with the College of Social Work. not only to help you in this next phase of your life, but also to support new students as you progress through your career. And finally, I would like to say a huge, massive congratulations to the newest class of graduates of the Florida State University College of Social Work. I know how hard you worked to get to this moment. Enjoy it, savor it, and I wish you luck as you begin your journey impacting the field of social work. Thank you.